Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tonight Show podcast for today, the 14th of August, live on YouTube. I do apologise that my laptop once again decided to have a breakdown before the start of the show, so I do apologise there if any of the intro was slightly delayed there. But anyway, we're live on there tonight. I've got plenty to talk about tonight. I'm joined by late party supporters, Zach Jones from All Latest News. Hello, Zach.
Hello, Charlie. Hello, mate.
Right, now, okay. There is a lot of news to talk about tonight. I'm going to kick things off with our plank of the week this week. Zach, I'm going to start with you this week. What's your planks of the week this week?
I had no idea, but then I come across this, which gave me a justification of why I should pick this. So I'm giving it to three people actually this week. Not famous people that you know about, but people that make the news for all sorts of the wrong reasons. 30 Audi Johnson, 35 years old, Ahmed Ghazari, 26 years old, Nicholas Mitchell. Have been they're the planks this week. Because the reason why. They've been jailed after kidnapping a pregnant mother from outside of a North London home and threatened to cut her fingers off. Yeah, that's lovely. I mean, it's every reason why you should give this planks of the week because, quite frankly, you're kidnapping a pregnant mother and then cutting her fingers off so she has no fingers to use. So, the victim was blindfolded and bound at the wrist after being taken. Bundled in the back of the white Ford Transit van before being blindfolded, bound at the wrist with cable ties by the gang as they sped away. They then asked questions, and one threatened, "If you lie to me, I'm going to kick the baby out your stomach." Lovely. The man later made a series of phone calls to her partners. They threatened to cut off her fingers if you don't quickly carry out their demands for money and valuable jewelry. They have been found guilty of conspiracy last month as well. Just so that you went, so you're aware. Yeah, very much love, just incredible stuff. So these three, Audi Johnson, Ahmed Ghazali, and Nicholas Mitchell, the three of them are my planks of the week for utterly crazy stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much my plank of the week.
My one is a very interesting nomination tonight, which I'm going to give it to an illegal migrant who went into an old woman's home in London and apparently attempted to break in. Now, I just want to confirm, guys, this was reported on Dan Wootton's show, which I had. It was a blind woman's home, just to confirm. And I had it. According to the report here, just so we're all fed up on what's happening in Canary Wharf, an illegal migrant who resides in the Britannia Hotel has walked uninvited into a blind woman's home and was promptly chased out. He was then detained by local police, or locals till police were who let him go. It's not an offence, apparently. Then after, a flash protest had started outside the hotel. The police used his dispersal order to arrest a local mother who had refused to leave the protest. And to stop it all off, just over an hour ago, the girl who was chased illegal out of the hotel, blind in the house, has also now been arrested. This is a blatant and disgusting display of two-tier policing. Time and time again, they've shown us they're not on the side. How does this end? Appalling scenes tonight near Canary Wharf. I think it's unacceptable. This guy should not be roaming the street at all. And for a start, okay, it's been a disaster for two-tier policing. You know, why does a child rapist get put to less time in prison than someone who posts a social media comment on Facebook? Like, what is wrong with this country now? And yeah, I mean, I read up. Oh, someone comment. Look, I'm not going to repeat the comment that one person said on X or on Facebook because, you know, of censorship stuff. But that for me is my first nomination of the week. My second nomination goes to IndyCar driver Christian Rasmussen during last weekend's race, which took place at Portland. Now, I saw what happened, okay. Christian Rasmussen had a bit of a bizarre race. He made contact with several drivers, and then I believe Connor Daly and him had a bit of a moment, which sent Connor Daly, I don't know if he lost it on his own on the track, but he had a big crash. Rasmussen just got caught up in the wars in that race. And I was reading the comments on the race in IndyCar, and somebody said he should have been given a black flag. Well, apparently that race was won by Will Power, who got his first win in the season. And obviously Alex Palou did win the championship for the fourth time and the third consecutive as well for Spaniard. But yeah, I mean, that one was certainly a very interesting dilemma there for sure as well. But you really have to understand the whole issue around driving standards, particularly in a race that saw, lots of action throughout the field. So they're my planks of the week this week, in a nutshell. Zach, what do you make of my planks of the week this week?
Interesting, I have to say. First of all, the migrant that went into a blind person at home, completely unacceptable no matter what. I just think that's crazy, and no matter who you are, you shouldn't be going into other people's properties without their permission. And yeah, I just think it's complete matter mad. On the Christian Ramerson stuff, I mean, we might as well mention the IndyCar whilst we're here as well. Obviously, Will Power winning that race, but yeah, Christian Ramerson, a bit of a surprise. I mean, yeah, personally, it was a bit of a weird incident. I think it was a bit of at points, the actions were a bit 50-50 at points as well. And I just think they were a little bit unnecessary in terms of what happened. But yeah, I think as well, it was all a bit of everybody as well with what went on. Christian Ramerson getting involved with several incidents. Obviously, the Conor Daly one was the big one. I mean, that was a big hit for Conor Daly, no doubt about that. That was a very, very heavy hit. And it resulted in several drivers in the wall as well. Santino Ferrucci went out early. So did Conor Daly. I mean, again, it was it a black flag incident? Probably not, but was it an unnecessary incident? Yeah, it could have been avoided. All of them could have really avoided incidents across the first lap, those couple of laps of the restart, I think, as well. But the actual race itself was good. We had a close battle between Power, Lundgaard, and Palou. And whilst we sort of focus on Power winning the race, we must mention the fact that Alex Palou is now a four-time IndyCar World Champion, because there was issues for his championship rider Pato O'Ward, who many technical issues throughout that race, and just an unfortunate race to lose that had the issue on, even though it got pole position as well, from what I remember. So yeah, just an unfortunate race. Pato O'Ward, he's now out, and it means that Alex Palou has got enough points to win the World Drivers to win the championship as well. 151 ahead after Portland. Scott Dixon is now in third. Lundgaard is fourth, and Kyle Kurtwood is now in fifth position as well. And the engine manufacturer championship is Honda ahead of Chevrolet as well. Christian Lundgaard, obviously, fair enough as well, I have to say as well. He finished second. He managed to cover the race quite well after having an engine change penalty. Now he did get the pole position, I think, initially, but then he obviously got the penalty as well. So yeah, it was a bit unfortunate for him to not start on that one. But obviously with the engine penalty, it was a bit necessary as well. So yeah, that's that. And now it's just two races to go. It's pretty much a dead run for the championship. It's now at the Milwaukee Mile National Super Speedway is the next couple of races actually as well. They're the final ones to go to on the calendar as well. So yeah, there we go. That's it for that sort of thing as well. I mean, that's it for sort of the Drivers' Championship, but the engine sort of manufacturers' championship is yet to be decided.
So Power, Lundgaard, Palou, obviously now 4 times champion. Rossi, Ilott, McLaughlin, Armstrong, Rosenquist, and Herta complete the top 10. As well, as I said, I covered more of that in the Motormania podcast with the results in more detail on that one. As you sure you guys know, you can go and watch that on my YouTube channel for more information on the in-depth look. And the next 2 races are one, we're heading to Wisconsin for the Milwaukee Mile 250 and the Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix on the Nashville Super Speedway. 2 ovals to complete the season, and also from what I'm hearing next year as well, Texas, I think they're adding a road course race or street circuit. Pato O'Ward was actually in Texas assessing the track. So, yeah, some very interesting changes there. We'll start with the sports news actually, and we'll get all that done right now for you guys. Moving on now to, well, do you know what? I'm going to spice it up this week. We're going to leave the NASCAR to one side for a minute. Any footy fans in the house, the Premier League returns this weekend with also some brand new rules coming as well, including time limits for how goalkeepers can hold the long the goalkeeper can hold the ball for, penalty retakes, touchline interviews, and also a couple of other rules as well involving penalties, and 5 new rules come into the Premier League this weekend as well, and a captain going up to the ref. So it is certainly going to be an interesting one. Obviously, it returns tomorrow. Friday Night Football will be back as well tomorrow. I believe Liverpool will be kicking off the new season, I think, against Bournemouth, from what I understand as well. So the new matches, Liverpool will be kicking off their title defence against Bournemouth tomorrow night. That is the first of the kickoffs over the weekend as well. So that will certainly be very interesting as well, to say the least. Also, as well, I forgot to mention as well, there was a big protest last week in the Sheffield Wednesday and Leicester match involving one of the, as fans demanded the owner sold the club. There was big protest in that match. I forgot to talk about that as well. In the other one. But anyway, with the matches, meanwhile, we've got a big amount of matches. Liverpool versus Bournemouth at 8 o'clock tomorrow night, kicking the matches off for you guys. And, of course, versus Newcastle at 12:30 on Saturday. And then the 3 o'clocks, 3 matches, Brighton, Fulham. Sunderland begin life in the Premier League against West Ham. Tottenham will face newly promoted Burnley. And at 5:30 on Saturday, Wolves take on Manchester City. I wonder if Liam and Noel Gallagher will be watching that match because Pep Guardiola has made an appearance on the stage. Then, Sunday, the 17th of August. It says on here, Chelsea under 21.
That's wrong. It's an error. It's the senior
Chelsea
team.
versus Crystal Palace. I wonder if they had under 21 players. That was very interesting. Nottingham Forest versus Brentford. Manchester United versus Arsenal. I know my uncle's going to be watching that very closely. My uncle Chris, who's going to be watching the podcast tonight. Manchester United will host Arsenal at Old Trafford. I wonder what the score is going to be in that one. And Leeds take on Everton in the Monday Night Football at 8 o'clock as well. So that is all of Match Day 1's fixture roundup. Zach, what's your pick of the fixtures over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, we're back. We've got 38 match day fixtures to look forward to. Again, it's August. It's the start of the football season. It's the start of the Premier League season, the brand new season as well, where there's lots on the line. There's lots of things happening. There's been a busy transfer window. There's still saga going on. Who's going to end up where? There's some protests on. Well, there's some players protesting, not even wanting to play their club at the moment. And yeah, there's just a lot happening over the summer window as well. But what most importantly, the football is back as well. It all kicks off, as you mentioned, tomorrow night. Finally, we've got 38 match days of this. It's Liverpool, the reigning Premier League champions, kicks off at 8 o'clock tomorrow against the Bournemouth side as well that just missed out on European football last season. That will be a fascinating matchup as well. My picks are that's definitely one of them. Aston Villa v Newcastle, 2 European teams next season as well, go face to face for the first time as well at 12:30. That's the lunchtime kickoff as well. The pick of the 3 o'clock for me. There's 2 fixtures I want to keep an eye out for. Newly promoted Sunderland taking on West Ham, and the returning Burnley against Tottenham Hotspur as well. That's the one to look out for. Wolves at Manchester City at 5:30 on Saturday. It's not the under-21s as I mentioned in the Google. It's an error here. There's 3 matches on Sunday. Chelsea v Crystal Palace is at 2. A London derby there. Nottingham Forest v Brentford at 2. Man United v Arsenal at 4:30. That is the pick of the match of the all weekend. I'm curious to see how this one goes because it's going to be against, I think, probably a strengthened Man United lineup and an Arsenal side that has made a few signings, but let's see how they get on as well. And then Monday to conclude the week with the newly promoted Leeds in a nice matchup against Everton as well, who have been a little bit inconsistent over their pre-season as well. Couple of things that you mentioned there. I just want to make sure you mentioned the new rules for this season as well. I just want to go to some of them as well because there are some laws that are changing this season. So one of the first main rule changes this year, as mentioned, is what's known as the 8-second rule. So when a goalkeeper is taking a goal kick, they are not allowed to reduce time wasting. They are not allowed to keep holding onto the ball forever. They now have to they have an 8-second rule where they must kick the ball within 8 seconds. The referee will give a 5-second countdown to the goalkeeper. If they take longer than the time, their punishment will now be, rather than the yellow card, they will be given a corner. Will be given a corner for the opposition, and that's a big one in terms of that one as well. The new rule applies across football networks, and you may see it in the Club World Cup as well. So I think it's a good law change on that one. The second one is that only the captains will be able to approach referees during Premier League match this season. Anyone who's unauthorised to approach referee will have yellow cards shown to approach officials without permission and behave in a disrespectful manner. If the captain is a goalkeeper, a team can provide an alternative player before kickoff. The International Football Association says it's recommended but not compulsory for every competition, but the Premier League will adopt it. The initiatives were trialled in the Champions League, Europa League, and UEFA Conference League last season as well, and it just proved the image of the game. It's not necessarily surrounding the referee. Number one, which you may have seen, especially in the women's Euros as well, it may not be needed, but players will be allowed to retake a penalty if they accidentally touch it twice while kicking it, so long as the effort went in. The new law has been used in the women's Euros, and we saw this with Beth Mead. Slipped whilst double touch, and then she scored a penalty in the shootout and had to retake it, and her second effort was saved. But under the old law, she would not have been allowed to retake it; it would have gone down as a miss as well. Another thing that's going to be happening this season as well is a crackdown on grappling in the penalty area. It's something that happens in lots of matches. You may see when they're grabbing in set pieces. Referees and VARs will now take note when holding players focus on the ball of the opponent as well. I think this should be hardened, and I think welcome to this thing as well. And other changes include a drop ball may be given to a team do not touch the ball last play before play was stopped as well. And if a coach substitute a player off the pitch for any reason touch the ball before it goes out of play when it's clearly just about to go out, an indirect free kick will be awarded, but no card will be issued. Officials are judged on passing players' first point of contact with the ball, but from now on with goalkeepers only, it'll be judged on their last point of contact. And obviously, so that's some of the rule changes to look out for this season in the Premier League, which is kicking off on Friday, as I mentioned as well. I just want to mention a few other things whilst we're here. As well, there's the UEFA Super Cup we had last night. That went to penalties, and it resulted in the first Spursy moment of the season. Spurs 2-0 up, then playing against Paris Saint-Germain, then went 2-2 just before the end of the 90 minutes. It went straight to penalties, and they lost on penalties. So we had the first Spurs moment of the Thomas Frank era yesterday, with Paris Saint-Germain winning the UEFA Super Cup. And we also had the Community Shield on Sunday as well, where Crystal Palace made it 2 trophies in the last couple of months by beating Liverpool. And yes, you guessed it, penalties as well. Surprises there to start the season. And also, I should mention as well that we had the Carabao Cup, the first round of the Carabao Cup the other day. And there was a few surprising results. The one I'm really surprised about, Bromley beating Ipswich Town on penalties. That was a quite surprising one. Birmingham beating Sheffield United as well. Sheffield United had a dismal start to the season. The other ones as well, I should have mentioned Huddersfield beating Leicester on penalties. Great. And Derby beating West Brom. That's another one that surprised me quite a bit. In many other ways as well. Was there any other surprising results I should mention about as well? Not really. Looking at this as well. Wrexham beating Hull on penalties. That's a fascinating one, I should say. As well. Sheffield United Wednesday just beating Bolton on penalties as well. But yeah, that's pretty much from the Carabao Cup side. The draw took place yesterday for the second round. This is when the Premier League and sides that have not qualified for Europe are in the go to get through to the second round. So I'll just give you some highlights from that one. There's a north-south division in this one I should mention. So you've got Fulham against Bristol City. That's one to look out for. Sheffield Wednesday Leeds United. That's a good tie. Bournemouth v Brentford. Brentford as well. All Premier League tie. Wolves v West Ham is another one to keep an eye out for as well. Burnley v Derby. Norwich v Southampton. And the other one, I think, the pick of the tie for me, Grimsby Town versus Manchester United. And then you also had Oxford United with Brighton. That's one of just kind of the key ties there, drawn out the Carabao Cup. And just one final thing to mention as well, I should say, is that the UEFA Champions League proper is not starting yet, but I want to mention some stuff that's happening next week because it's the playoff rounds. And there are 2 British sides involved in this. So it's the turn of the Scottish side. They've made it through to the playoff rounds. And you'll see Rangers in action on Tuesday. They'll be facing on Club Brugge. And on the Wednesday, it'll be Celtic at home to Kazakhstan side. I think it's Kazakhstan side, Kariat as well. They'll be taking on them on the Wednesday as well. So yeah, it's just to mention that's to make its way to the Champions League. If they do lose, they'll be going into the Europa League. Otherwise, so they will have Europe. So Celtic and Rangers do have European football this season, but where they end up was yet to be seen. Whether they're going to end it through to the Champions League or the Europa League this season. But yeah, that's the sort of the wrap up of the football news. And look ahead to the football this weekend and next week.
Yeah, and we're going to go back to the motorsport now because the NASCAR Cup Series took place last weekend at Watkins Glen. And I actually watched some of this race. I managed to actually get some live footage on YouTube of the event actually taking place. And wow, 4 from 4 on a road course this season. Are you kidding me? Shane Van Gisbergen has done it again. Wow. I mean, that is unreal. He just makes these road course tracks look so easy. I can't believe it. V8 Supercars, Aussie V8, a great go. But yes, Van Gisbergen won. Obviously, he didn't unfortunately get pole position. That went to Ryan Blaney, who finished down in 6th position at the end of the race. He may not have won both stages, did Shane Van Gisbergen, but what he did do was go on and claim victory in the Go Bowling in the Glen NASCAR Cup race. Christopher Bell finished in 2nd position, didn't even lead a single lap, but finished well behind Van Gisbergen in that race. Chris Buescher taking home 3rd place in the number 17 Ford Mustang. William Byron was 4th in the number 24 Hendrick Motorsport Chevrolet. Chase Briscoe was 5th in the number 19 Toyota Camry. Ryan Blaney was 6th. Daniel Suarez 7th. Bubba Wallace 8th. Not a bad result for him actually on a road course. Another point finish for him. Tyler Reddick 9th. Ross Chastain was 10th as well. Then you had Allmendinger, Jones, Priest, Logano, Dillon, Zane Smith, Carson Hocarver, Alex Bowman, and then down towards the back you had Kyle Larson, who unfortunately spun out early on in the race. Absolute disaster for him. Kind of had a bit of a bad run since his Indy 500 spin. Not gelled at all with NASCAR as well. His mistakes in the Camaro, the Hendrick who's driving it. Oh, I mean, it's crazy to think that for the number 5 car there, number 5 Chevrolet, just not doing well. Chase Elliott was down towards in 26th position. As well, John Hunter Nemechek, I think, got spun round as well. There was a yellow. They didn't actually held the yellow flag for that. I think it was Ty Dillon. It was one driver did collide because I saw Nemechek go round, and they did throw a caution out after debris was on the track. And he was doing well at one point, but yeah, down in 32nd place as well. After that, not ideal. I think it was Ty Dillon who actually had the collision. It might have been Ty Gibbs or Ty Dillon. It was one of the Tys, I think, who had a collision with Nemechek's car there. And I think as well there was also another driver that went in the wall. I think it was Josh Berry. No, when the wall, he managed to keep the engine going. So yeah, there was carnage. There was a few cautions. There was loads of close racing in this race. But in the end, Zach, despite not winning a stage, Shane Van Gisbergen won the Go Bowling in the Glen race.
Yeah, I mean, Shane Van Gisbergen was a complete dominant force on the road courses this season. Fair play to him. We also got, I imagine, one more of this. I think it's Charlotte Roval. Where we will have that. So that would be one more opportunity coming up for old Shaney boy to make that a victory for him as well. But yeah, I mean, complete dominant race for him. Fair play. He did so well. Just a completely dominated show. Then you had Christopher Bell in second position. You got Chris Buescher in third, William Byron fourth, Chase Briscoe fifth, Ryan Blaney sixth, Daniel Suarez seventh, Bubba Wallace eighth, Tyler Reddick ninth, Ross Chastain in 10th position. That there is your top 10. I have to say, the race that, despite the fact that Van Gibson was quite dominant, it was not. I don't think it was a brilliant race for the standards at all. I don't think it was a very lackluster race for Watkin Glen standard. I'm afraid it wasn't very exciting at all. Unfortunately, yeah, I just think it was a bit of a lackluster race overall. But for the playoff picture, what that does mean at the moment is that the top. Let me just tell you what the playoff position at the moment. So obviously William Byron's through at the moment because we only got a couple of more races until this. I think we've got 2 races now left in the regular season, and then we go to the playoff. Yeah, so William. So the ones that have victories this season so far, there was no new winner, so it means that points could be the remaining factors in the final couple of races. So the playoff picture is this at the moment. The ones that are qualified are Hamlin, Van Gisbergen, Bell, Larson, William Byron, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, Joe Logano, Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric, Josh Berry, Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, Chris Buescher. The other one to keep an eye out for, Ryan Preece is on the bubble at the moment. He's 34 behind at this stage. Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, Chris Buescher are ahead. Even though they haven't won, they are ahead on points at the moment. Tyler Reddick's position, I think, looks safe at the moment. There's now two races left the playoff. Oh, sorry, the regular season, and there's 3 spots. There's going to be at least one race where points are going to be decided to get into the playoff. Because mathematically, with 2 races left, you're not going to get 3. You're not going to get 3 victories in there. So I think Tyler Reddick's 117. As long as he finishes in a good position this weekend at Richmond, I think he's definitely safe and will probably most likely be in the playoff as well. And then we're going to have to keep an eye on whether Alex Bowman, Chris Buescher can get a victory because they're 15th and 16th at the moment, respectively. But then anyone outside these top, obviously these the 36, and anyone outside the bubble who wins will get a playoff position, and that will have implications for either Bowman or Chris Buescher if they're on the bubble. So, for example, if let's say Kyle Busch wins, it has significant impact for Chris Buescher, for example, who would be the one chopped on points at this stage at the moment. Like I said, I think Tyler Reddick is pretty much safe and will get in via points. He doesn't need to win, I don't think, based because of the fact he's 117 above Ryan Preece at the moment. So, yeah, that was 2 races to go. We are racing at Richmond next. It's a Saturday night race for this one. rather than obviously the Sunday one. I mean they've done it Sunday the previous season, but now it's going to be back on the lights at Richmond on a Saturday night. That's at 12:30 a.m. UK time, Sunday morning. So I'm afraid I won't be watching that one live, but yeah, definitely one out for with short track racing as well. Anything could pretty much happen.
Then I think we're back to Daytona after, and I tell you what, guys, it's going to be an interesting race, this one, and I believe as well, it's the only time they're ever going to go to Richmond this season as well. So this is the only one they're going to have. I think they used to have two. So yeah, this one certainly is the final meeting for Richmond. So that's all the NASCAR news. As Zach said, it'd be all done on points. But obviously, if you do win a race and you're outside the top 16, you can race your way into the playoffs. If 16 drivers win, then it is done on automatic points for the chase or the playoffs, as they call it in NASCAR. Anyway, moving on now to the rest of the news. Now, I'm going to change it up a little bit this week with how we're going to review the news from the show. I'm going to react to the papers because I feel like, it's kind of better to get our perspective on the big headlines going. So we can use the newspapers as a reference for how we're going to discuss the story. So I want to go through some stories and we're going to get our thoughts on them over the next, few days. Obviously, some of the papers will be released later on. For tomorrow, by the way, as well, if you're a Strictly Come Dancing fan, Thomas Skinner is going to be competing on the show this year. Much to the annoyance of many on the left. Thomas Skinner
I saw a lot of negative reaction
on Strictly.
Yeah, I saw a lot of negative reaction to this. And I wouldn't say it's just lefties overall. I just think there was an irritant from many fans that they just didn't like him. He aren't, by the way, attacked several certain types of people. So, yeah, very controversial choice. I mean, it's not obviously generated publicity, but for all the
So we're going to go through some of the headlines. Now, the first one is Donald Trump has issued a warning in the Times. This was yesterday's Times paper. Unless a ceasefire is agreed, there'll be more severe consequences and European leaders are seeking new security guarantees. He also claims that he wants to host UFC fights on the White House lawn as part of the 250 celebrations of America, working 250 years of America, prompting widespread controversy and debate as well. That's the Donald Trump things. Obviously, Zach we'll get Zach's opinion on that one as well. And also as well, despite Trump's ceasefire warning to Putin, the hug that we got that tells Trump we've got Zelensky's back, as Keir Starmer apparently cuddles Volodymyr Zelensky outside Downing Street, with a picture on the top of the headline, A levels results day, boys beat girls high grade for the first time since 2018. As well as that, as well in some more news, the Swift's raunchy look that comes, I believe, after she's releasing her 12th studio album as well, which apparently was pictured on Capital FM. I believe the radio stations actually are promoting that, so certainly very interesting as well. Also as well, in some of the other news this week as well, I read a paper the other day which claimed that around 26,000 people were also released from prison across the UK as well. 26,000 prisoners did actually get released from prison, which was a lot of prisoners, by the way, as well. And also as well, in some news on one of the papers yesterday, it also claimed that around 50,000 illegal migrants have arrived in the UK since Starmer took over the UK. So there is a lot of news for us to discuss. So Zach, without further ado, let's discuss them. First of all, your reaction to Donald Trump's warning to Vladimir Putin of Russia.
Yeah, that's tomorrow, by the way. I should mention that is tomorrow. This is a high stakes meeting between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been slagging Putin a lot off recently, but he's now willing to meet. And yeah, we're back to the high dynamic stakes of What is the deal like going to be like between Russia and Ukraine and the USA? What's going to happen? Are we going to get some concrete answers as to that tomorrow? Who's gonna bluff? Who's going to give in and take? In terms of who of territory, land, ideas, economic factors as well, trade, and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it's a big deal tomorrow, as well, and there's going to be a lot of reaction, I think, from certain corners. Lots of the UK is having an interest in this. Lots of Europe is having an interest in this as well. In terms of you know what the USA and Russia are going to cook up in terms of any deal that they could do, and if whether there would be any chances of a deal and a ceasefire between the two countries as well. So that's taking place in Alaska tomorrow, a really high stakes meeting as well. In terms of what's happening as well. I mean that's it's more significant that this is happening as well. It's another big face to face. I mean, we've seen the histories of face to face between Trump and Putin have been incredibly dynamic, and in terms of what's happened, the outcomes, and all the stuff that's happened before. But yeah, this is a big stakes meeting tomorrow between the two countries, and the impact it will have on European countries as well. What would their reaction be if anything out of it as well? I'm sure they're all hoping for success out of this, but what does success look like? What it does it mean? Will they react badly to any territorial agreement deals and everything like that? I mean, what they don't want, I suppose, is USA and Russia imposing a deal for Ukraine and getting the blame for it. I mean, this is a hardball meeting between USA and Russia, and it's really significant as well. It could be successful, it could be failure as well. It's all big stuff happening in many ways as well. The other thing I want to mention as well is as you mentioned on the news this week, I want to mention the A-level results because they got the results today. And there is a little bit of a change in the dynamics this year, actually. So just going through the statistics. The past 7 years, girls have outperformed boys in securing the highest A-level grades. This year, the switch flipped. It's now boys have overtaken girls in getting the top marks. The percentage of boys graded an A star or A were 28.4%. That's up compared to 28.2% achieved by the girls. Marks rehearsals of last year's 0.4% lead for female students. So that's a 0.6% gap turnaround for the boys this year as well. Boys also strengthened their advantage on the very top scale. 9.9% of their entries awarded an A star compared with 9.1% for the girls. Factors include a surge in the popularity of STEM subjects, including science, technology, engineering, and maths, as well. Those subjects have been a rise for years, which obviously you imagine less girls will take less as well. Maths is the most popular A level, and the number of entries is up more than a fifth since 2016. And the clear gender divide who study it. Boys account for at least 2/3 of entries, the divide's only getting bigger as well. Boys' performance in maths improved very slightly this year from 42.5% of the entry marked A star or A from last year to 42.6% this year. In comparison, girls' result dipped from 41.2% last year to 40.2% this year. That's actually a significant drop of 1% as well. So, yeah, I feel like there's a bit of a significant change in terms of what's happening with the results of like A-level results as well. I think it's telling that girls are taking less academic subjects, and sort of the boys are therefore sort of taking over those the more high-tech, high-skilled subjects, and the gap is therefore that we've seen this switch over between boys and girls in terms of the gender gap and the level, the top grades they're getting. So it's really significant. I feel on that front that it's changed that much as well, and I think that's really important to note. in many ways. And the final story that you mentioned as well, Charlie, and I mean it's significant, is that the migrant figures have hit over 50,000 this year. This is basically 50,000 in terms not when Labour took charge, but when since the start of the year we started recording figures of how many people have crossed the channel illegally into this country. 50,000 is now passed, and we're into August. It's not a good look for Labour because the pace is of that. They've gone faster to get 50,000 people over the channel crossing compared to the time the Conservatives had in the last couple of years as well, which, let's be honest, is not great at all. Conservatives blame this on getting rid of the Randa scheme, but I don't think it's that. I think there's lots of factors in there as well. There are good weather. I should mention there is good weather as well, by the way, at the moment. And there continues to be good weather. So do not be surprised if we do see further increases in the figures over the next couple of days as well. Because Labour say it's not their fault. Well, it is partly. But yeah, the channel of boats migrants arriving are at record speed as well. So yeah, significant improvements needed on the migration front there for Labour.
I think I've seen some Conservative MPs, Chris Philp and Robert Jenrick, have been over there doing some reporting on this. And they nearly actually got attacked by these illegal migrants in France. It's just, what's going on? We've had this problem for years. Get a grip, whoever's solving these crises, and stop these boats crossing. It's not ideal in any respect. But that's the end of that news roundup there. If you've got any questions on the biggest news stories of the week, please let me know what we haven't covered, and we've covered them for you again in more detail. Now it's time for a quick update now. So this weekend is Colchester Castle Park's concerts for upcoming weekends across the country. It's a big weekend if you're a Colchester Castle Park music fan. Colchester Castle Park here in Essex will be hosting some concerts. And guys, I have an announcement to make. I'm going on Saturday to watch Craig David live at Colchester Castle Park. Last Friday, you might remember Craig released his new album, Commitment, which spawns 13 songs and also includes several collaborations with the likes of Jojo, Tiwa Savage, and also Louisa Johnson, who won the X Factor back in 2015, who was the youngest ever winner of the ITV UK singing competition show. But Craig David is back on Saturday, just to confirm as well. Big Nasty will be making an appearance. I know, Zach, you like grime music, and Big Nasty will be attending on Saturday. Also as well, Scott Garcia will be there. Patrick Nazemi will be DJing. And also as well, 24-hour Garage Girls. And Wes Nelson, I believe, is also making an appearance as well. So it is a whole package for this concert. Big Nasty going. Oh, man. Does anyone remember him on TV? Doing stuff with Mo Gilligan. He had a TV show on Channel 4. So he is a television presenter, also aka a rapper, grime artist. Of course, you might remember him from When the Bassline Drops, and you might remember him from quite a few remix songs as well. Big Nasty will be heading down to Colchester Castle Park on Saturday, but we don't just have Craig David in attendance at Colchester Castle Park over the weekend as well. See, it's 25 years today since Born to Do It was released as well. Just thought I'd let you know that was Craig's debut studio album. Which was the fastest selling solo album by a male UK solo artist here in the UK. But very quick sales. It was 250,000 in its first week. There's the poster there for the TS5 show. But we have got loads of shows. In fact, tonight, the Smashing Pumpkins have just been on tonight as well to do their show. They're a big group, actually. I think they're a rock band, one of the biggest rock bands around, actually. So they were performing tonight. Tomorrow, Busted are going to be performing, Scouting for Girls as a support act. So, yeah, certainly a very big night if you're a Busted fan. UB40 on the 17th of August as well. Ali Campbell as well. Then you have on Monday, one of the most iconic music artists here in the UK, Welsh singer Sir Tom Jones, will be performing. You might remember Sir Tom Jones, because he's a coach on The Voice UK. Very prolific singer, loved by many people. He'll be performing on Monday next week. And then there's loads of acts performing. You've got Texas, James, Madness as well. Madness are an iconic band, very well known. ALB Festival as well. I believe for that one, Sophie Ellis-Bextor looks like she's pictured on the promo there. And also as well, if you're interested in cars like myself, there's also going to be a Headway Classic Vehicle Show as well on the 21st of September. So if you do like classic cars like myself, you know, you want to go and see your old Porsche 911s and your Jaguar E-Types and your old Lincoln Continentals or whatever, that car show will be on the 21st of September. So it's not just music events, there's also a car show on the 21st of September. So Colchester is full of events. That's all I'm going to say. Zach, what's your assessment on the upcoming events coming to Colchester, particularly concert side of things as well?
Yeah, quite a lot of stuff. I mentioned quite a lot of familiar artists. Busted, Craig David, Tom Jones, Texas, Madness. Boy, feels like I'm going 30 years back when I listen to this. If you're age 60 and above, you might like all these concerts, or if you're into your old middle-aged 40s and you stop listening to the music today, then yeah, this is perfect for you. This is absolutely perfect as well. And yeah, so you've got a good choice. I mean, let's think about it. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, they're good events. They're looking at all this. They're all good events, but again, I'm not so. I mean, Madness is alright. I mean, I'm not sort of past that generation for Madness. As well. I mean, Busted. Yeah, I suppose the current music as well. In some ways, and then yeah, Tom Jones. The old people love them. Love them. I'll tell you that for certain. I haven't heard music from James for a while, but then again, I kind of don't know who he is. He's just called James. I mean, it could be James anybody. So yeah, that's the case as well. And there's a few other festivals as well. I don't know what ALB. It looks like some sort of Hindu Indian festival. I don't know what that is. But and then you got the classic vehicle shows, Oktoberfest. It's alright actually if you think about it. Enlightened as well. I have no idea what that's about, but yeah, it's a good audience. Castle Park, yeah, pretty decent if you're a certain type of age. That is.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. Being an Essex boy, you know, I'm great. I'm honestly, I mean, it'll be great to go on Saturday, for the experience. This will actually be my first. I've been to 2 concerts, but this will be my first like open air one. So I can't wait for it. It'll be great fun. It's going to be very busy, but the weather looks like it's going to be dry. So it's annoying because I've got an early shift at work the next day, so I'm going to be knackered when I go in the next day. So yeah, very risky with a ticket. But yeah, anyway, if any of you going watching the podcast tonight, if you're attending one of these shows, please comment down below, guys, what your thoughts will be. If you've been to this venue before, what's the experience? Zach's just left the podcast, the chat for the minute. I do apologise. Zach just left the stream, so I'll try and get him back on as soon as possible. In fact, I'll just add Zach back on again.
I don't know what happened there.
There we go.
Right, hello, I'm back.
We've added Zach back on now. He's back. So yeah, I mean, honestly, that is the obviously any of you guys that have watched listen to that is obviously taking place this weekend. As I said, you can go to various venues across the country. There's plenty of concerts on, events on over the summer. Of course, Carfest coming up next weekend as well in Hampshire. So if you're a car fan, you'll love that event. And also as well, there's also action across the UK on the entertainment forefront. Now it's time for a song, and today we're going to play one of the new songs of Craig's brand new album, Commitment, which aired or released last Friday. And I thought this one, because Craig's coming to Essex this weekend, I had to include this song featuring the 2015 winner, Louisa Johnson, who's also from Essex. I thought I'd play this one for you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Leave the Light On, Craig David featuring Louisa Johnson. We will see you in a few minutes' time.
you belong. So tell me when the darkness falls, will you leave the light on for me? Will you stay for the night here for me? Be my ride or die through the lows and the highs. When I'm not by your side, tell me if you will leave the light on for me. Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? The light on for me. Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? The light on for me. The light on for me. Now I'm with you floating up on cloud nine. I don't wanna come down. I can't believe that I get to call you mine. Look at the love we found. I think about the day you walked in my life. I think about every time you're by my side. There's something so different about you tonight. So tell me when the darkness falls, will you leave the light on for me? Will you stay for the night here for me? Be my ride or die through the lows and the highs. When I'm not by your side, tell me if you will leave the light on for me. Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? The light on for me. Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? The light on for me. The light on for me. Leave the light. Leave the light. Light on for me. Leave the light. Leave the light. Leave the light. Light on for me. Will you leave the light on for me? Will you stay for the night if I need? Be my ride or die through the lows and the highs. But I'm not by your side. Tell me what you leave. Will you leave the light on for me? Will you stay for the night? Be my ride or die through the lows and the highs. But I'm not by your side. Tell me if you will leave the light on for me. Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? The light on for me. Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? The light on for me. The light on for me.
Thank you there to Craig David and Louisa Johnson there for the hit Leave the Light On. That was from Craig's 2025 album Commitment, the 9th studio album of Craig David's. Yes, featuring Louisa Johnson there, as I said, who won the 2015 edition of the X Factor UK. Zach, what do you make? A former X Factor UK winner collaborating with arguably one of the UK's greatest R&B artists.
Yeah, decent for what it's worth. Obviously, don't think it's been pushed as a single, but I think it's a good collaboration.
Definitely, I'll tell you what, one of the best songs on the album. I really like it. It's a great song. I really actually, Craig's new album's really good. Honestly, I listened to it the other week. It's whilst I was driving to Bluewater. It's got some great songs on there. So, yeah, 25 years after the original, comes back with a brand new album, number 9 now. Anyway, it's time now for the part of the show where we go on Operation Chat. Conversation Street this week. What is Conversation Street going to be this week? Well, it can only be one thing. Introducing Quadcast. Now, you might have heard of Quadrant, which is Lando Norris's, basically set up to revive Lando Norris's esports team, or an esports channel for Lando Norris. However, they have now branched into podcasting, and I'm very excited to announce that the other day, Quadcast launched with Max Futuel and Izzy Hammond. Now, this podcast obviously is in collaboration with Quadrant, and it's going to be a motorsport themed podcast in particular. Though they're aiming to get guests on the show. It's available on Spotify, also social media services, including YouTube as well. And yes, I tell you what, the first episode is already out now. What can I say? It's going to be a very interesting podcast. Obviously, as I said, Max and Izzy were on the show, and obviously, Quadrant itself has become a huge part of the social media side of F1, and in general, the Quadcast is going to be a big part of the operation. So you guessed it, according to the podcast thing here. Yeah, you asked for it. The Quadcast is here. So, of course, Izzy Hammond and Max Futrell will be presenting the show. Obviously, Max Futrell, to anyone who doesn't know, he's a former racing driver, retired racing driver, who is, of course, presenting the new podcast. This is it here. The first episode of the Quadcast out. See, Max used to race in British F4 years ago. Actually, very good friends with Lando Norris, actually. They do so much content on YouTube. I've seen Twitch streams. I saw recently they've done a video where they raced YouTubers around Buckmore Park. They've done it multiple times on videos with other YouTubers. But to have Izzy Hammond on board, obviously she's a presenter on Drive Tribe, and also to anyone who might know, Top Gear host, former Top Gear host and Grand Tour presenter Richard Hammond. He's also Richard Hammond's daughter as well, who I'll hopefully be meeting in a couple of weeks at Drive Tribe Live. So, yes, the first episode of Quadcast is now out. That is it there, guys. The new podcast in question. Quadcast coming out. Obviously, we don't know what day this is going to air. I'm assuming it's going to be on a weekly podcast. But the fact is as well, it's going to be available to view on YouTube as well. So you'll be able to get a live picture rather than obviously the Who We Are Now podcast, Rich and Izzy, where it's just voice tracked most of the time with clips appearing on Instagram. So the fact this is actually going to be a live interactive podcast on YouTube is going to be great. And it reaches out, obviously, like what we're doing now means that we're live on YouTube right now as we speak through StreamYard, the broadcasting program that we're using. So obviously it's available to listeners around the world. As well, and I've always wanted a Monster Motorsport podcast to be a big part, and as well as that, who should we be getting on the podcast? They were suggesting people. I suggested Abby Pullen, who's one of the hottest female racing drivers around at the moment. One of the biggest, hottest talents. She's racing in the GB3 Championship as they head to Brands Hatch next weekend. So there is a lot on the table. If you want to guess, let them know down in the comments, guys, who you think the next guest should be on that podcast. But Zach, I want to give your thoughts on this. Obviously, Quadrant, started off in life as a Lando Norris kind of side hustle to F1, like an esports team. But now the fact that they've branched into a world of podcasting with the Quadcast, it's a huge move for them, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Another one to add to the podcasting list of things that's going on as well. Then we talk about life beyond F1 and all that sort of thing after that. Fast Class, the slowest moment as well. And they've picked some good coasts. You got Max and Izzy Hammond. I mean, yeah, Izzy Hammond's he's done loads of podcasts already. Max Furtwell, you mean it's a pretty blatantly obvious choice for that sort of thing. Not surprising that he's leading that one. But then Izzy Hammond, I mean, she's all over the place. Drive Tribe, she's on the Who We Are Now podcast as well. And now she's had another one, obviously with the Quadcast as well. It's a good portfolio for them, for her as well. It's another one as well. Getting her out and about. I mean, it's excellent. Absolutely brilliant for her. As well, and yeah, it's a really, really decent portfolio that she's building, and this will certainly be helping it as well.
Do you know what? When this got announced the other day, I was so gassed, and I'm absolutely delighted to have this podcast actually launching, to actually have look at this, to have this on YouTube as well, actually where you can see them properly in person. It's to see a live YouTube live picture with the other podcast and voice track. It's just going to give viewers so much more variety of choice to listen. You can listen in your car. You can listen here, for example, live on YouTube. it's great to see, you know, the choice of listening now, or the audience of listening now, expanding to, well, effectively all around the country. So it's great to see that worldwide listeners can now listen on YouTube. I think YouTube has become not just a big part of motoring, but also the fact that independent media now relies a lot on using platforms like YouTube to broadcast on. So for motorsport fans, this is a big move, and I'm grateful. And Max and Izzy will do amazing on this podcast. And I think in general, guys, you have to go and check Quadrant out because they do some really cool stuff. Not just with F1, they do Twitch streams. As I said, they do all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, Zach, the fact that Quadrant branch off into so many different things motorsport related is really good to watch. And for the listeners, it gives a unique perspective on the life of ordinary YouTubers, and particularly the go-kart race they've done earlier in the year. They actually feature some YouTubers like Angry Ginger and stuff, who actually took part in the race.
Yeah, and it definitely a lot of wide range of content. I mean, it's I found it some of it fascinating watch, some of it's been entertaining as well. And yeah, Quadrant, obviously the power of Lando Norris in it as well as just all, other YouTubers has helped it, and it's helped it quite a lot as well to build up its audience and expand in many ways as well. So yeah, it's very enjoyable.
I tell you what, I reckon Lando's watching that, and I reckon they're going to get Lando on that show very soon. I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, as you guys know, he's in the middle of a world championship battle with Oscar Piastri at the moment as they head to the Dutch Grand Prix. Obviously, F1 is on the summer break. And actually, Zach, whilst we're here, I would like to discuss, obviously now at the mid-season review of Formula One at the moment. I want to say, who do you think has been the best performing driver this year? Obviously, the two McLarens are obviously in front, but who do you think has impressed you the most this year? And who do you think really needs to up their game in the second half of the season on the run up to Abu Dhabi?
So in terms of who I think has done quite well outside of the McLarens, I mean, let's be honest, Piastri has been the best performer out of a lot of them, no doubt about it. I feel they're consistent. I feel like George Russell has done quite well outside as well. I think he's performed very well in that Mercedes. Not always not always the best Mercedes, and he's managed to make the most out of it. He really has, and he's actually, if anything, he's getting closer to Verstappen for the third place, which is quite surprising. Would you believe it or not? Anyway, as well, I mean, obviously Max Verstappen is a monster in that Red Bull when it's slow. But obviously George Russell, I think, has done pretty well overall. Alex Albon, I think, has impressed me quite a bit as well throughout mid-season. I mean, yeah, the wins have not been well over the last few races, but he's made the most out of it. Nico Hulkenberg, let's mention him because he's on 37 points in the Sauber. The Sauber were nowhere last season, and now they're starting to get somewhere as well. They're doing really, really bloody well, and they're thoroughly starting to impress me with Nico Hulkenberg. I mean, he keeps racking up the points, and obviously that podium helped at Silverstone as well. It shocked everybody, but he's done so well. He's done so well overall. And yeah, just overall, I think for me, he's one of the veterans as well. In terms of sort of like the rookies, I mean, Anthony had a promising start, but it's fortunately not got the results within the last couple of races, and I think there's room for improvement there as well. And Isaac Hadjar, I've been thoroughly impressed with. You know, he's not always had the best results again as well, but he's shown promising signs as well. I think Liam Lawson's starting to get there as well. I think the Racing Bulls performance is starting to get there as well. And yeah, I think overall, I mean, Alpine's had a bit of a roller coaster ride. They're all obviously not even doing much opportunities. And then Colapinto as well. It was promising the couple season, and then yeah, it's just not been the same person. I'm afraid driver recently as well. Ollie Behrman's just had again the run of luck sometimes as well. But he had promise in some ways as well. But yeah, overall, that's sort of where I'm feeling it sit at the moment. Piastri, he's done well so far. There's 9 points between him and Norris. Wonder what it could have been like if those two didn't collide in Canada. If you're gonna ask me for a title prediction now until to Abu Dhabi, I have to say, based on performances, I think Piastri is the more consistent driver, and he might be able to edge out Norris in a title fight as well. Who will get third position? I think Max, but yeah, performances have to improve in that Red Bull overall. And yeah, overall, who do I think will finish sort of the bottom as well? I don't know. I think I don't really know. I mean, it could be. I think Colapinto will be the last one at the current drivers to finish at the bottom. I think Ben will get a few points actually, a few more points before the end of the season, and I wouldn't actually be surprised if Tsunoda actually doesn't do that well and gets overtaken by Behrman at the end of the season, because I don't see that's happening as well. We know who will probably win the Constructors' Championship with McLaren. Who will get second place, though, will be Ferrari and Mercedes. I think even though Lewis Hamilton is struggling, I think Leclerc is topping that team quite well. George Russell, though, is consistent performer. I'm struggling to think here. I think Mercedes may pick Ferrari for second position in the Constructors, because I think Antonelli has better chance of bouncing back compared to what Lewis Hamilton is. I mean, Lewis Hamilton will bounce back at some point, but I just don't think his performances are brilliant at the moment. So yeah, if you ask me, out McLaren, I think Mercedes will do better than Ferrari. I still think Verstappen will finish third in the the Drivers' Championship. And yeah, I think the top 5 will remain as it is, if you ask me, in terms of the Drivers' Championship.
In terms of my mid-season review, I think the standouts this year, obviously McLaren, definitely a team that I follow a lot. So if I had to put a bet on who's going to win the championship this year, I hope Norris is a Brit. I hope Norris wins, but I think Piastri definitely looks the better of the two drivers at the moment. I'll be happy if either one of them win. Honestly, I want fair racing, and I bet this will embroil a title rivalry throughout the rest of the year, because they all both want to go for it. In terms of drivers that impress, George Russell's done well despite Mercedes having a mixed car this year. I think Albon's shown some decent pace in that Williams when it's been working really well. Qualifying, obviously, in Australia was definitely one of his highlights. And to be fair, in Spa as well, he actually showed great pace. Both of the Sauber drivers, Gabriel Bortoleto, getting points this year as well in Austria and Hungary. Drove brilliantly in qualifying as well. Man, his qualifying was amazing in Hungary. To get in the top 10 and finish in 6th position. Behind effectively, well, I think it was behind Alonso, who was catching towards the end of the race. So, yeah, and obviously Hulkenberg getting that podium in Silverstone, first podium in nearly 240 starts. Well done to him. And they've been on an upward trajectory this year, Sauber. Obviously, RB as well. Lawson didn't have much hope for him at the start, losing the Red Bull seat, but has had some decent pace, actually. So I'd say he's been improving. Hadjar as well has been not bad. And Gasly as well. Pierre Gasly, definitely mentioned to him for driving at Alpine on a few points occasions this year. And also, I have to say as well, Charles Leclerc has definitely done well on the Ferrari. If I had to pick my biggest disappointments of the year, a lot of people will be surprised with my choices. Lewis Hamilton has been one of the biggest disappointments this year for me. Apart from a sprint win in China, he has been nowhere compared to Charles Leclerc this season at all, and had an absolutely disastrous Hungarian Grand Prix, even calling himself useless. Also as well, Yuki Tsunoda, unlike Max Verstappen, who's actually not doing bad in that Red Bull. The Red Bull's bad now, but Tsunoda's just been nowhere since the second driver. That's the curse again in the second drivers. Antonelli had so much praise at the start, but the last 5 or 6 races, he's been nowhere in at all near George Russell, and he's just had some shocking qualifyings. And I had to pick. I'm gonna give another mention as well. Aston Martin obviously had that great Hungarian Grand Prix, but again, they've struggled a lot this season as well, which has been disappointing to say the least. And also as well, Oh dear, this is another controversial pick. I'm going to go with Ollie Behrman, actually. Well, actually, Ollie Behrman's had bad luck this year, I think. I won't say Behrman because I think he's had poor luck. But I have to say, Carlos Sainz, definitely. I mean, why? I mean, all right. He goes to Williams and it's not been the best start for him. Albon's actually done really well to beat Sainz. But Sainz has just lacked pace. What's gone on with him since he's left Ferrari, a race-winning car, a race-winning team going to Williams? Just, I have to say, big disappointment for me for Sainz. Aston Martin have looked bad this year, but obviously had that boost in Hungary. So I'm hoping that their upgrades will be working well on that car, hopefully. And then Colapinto. I'm going to say this, guys. I think Alpine have kept Colapinto in for the rest of the season. I think he should have been fired by the summer break. I think Colapinto has been an absolute disgrace to Alpine. The fact he can't even match Pierre Gasly, who's driving that car, effectively one of the worst cars on the grid in the points, even at Silverstone. The questions around Alpine management have to say it themselves. I think it's been a disastrous time for Alpine right now. They don't even know what they're doing ahead of 2026. And Red Bull as well. Well, Christian Horner's now left Red Bull together. And, again, that team are in crisis. I mean, Zach, the next half of the season is going to be crucial as we start the flyaway races, particularly after Zandvoort and Monza. It's going to be all lights to the eyes to the lights and foot to the floor for the final part of the season.
Yeah, and it will be fascinating. I think obviously the key battle is going to be the two McLarens, but how will the midfield be closer? Anything like that will sort of any of the two sort of like Mercedes, Ferrari getting closer. I think Mercedes is more likely to get closer to McLaren or anything as well. But a lot of mix and match circuits as well. And the developments are going to reduce as we go through the season. They're going to start focusing on the 26 car as well. So whatever's they got left in their performance, they're going to have to show it as well. And lots of close battles to look forward to as the season resumes in 2 weeks' time.
So the season will begin in a couple of weeks' time at Zandvoort, 31st of August before the Dutch Grand Prix. And that is it for the Tonight Show podcast tonight. And before we go, Zach, what in terms of the news this week on the political spectrum, what are the main headlines to look out for over the next week?
Well, I think the only one is tomorrow, really, and that's the the Putin Trump summit. I think that's going to be incredibly important to determine how they manage to get negotiations on peace in Ukraine and how the other countries are going to react to it. Is it going to be a sellout? Is it going to be a more compromised thing? Is Putin going to get what he wants? Is Trump going to get what he wants? Is Zelensky going to get what he wants out of this? Who knows? We'll have to see. Anything could happen tomorrow. Let's all wait and see, and we hold with bated breath.
And just to confirm as well, JD Vance has also been over to the UK as well. I believe he's met with David Lammy. I think he met with Nigel Farage as well this week, from what I heard.
Yeah, and a few other Conservative MPs as well.
So that is it for the Tonight Show podcast. Thank you so much for watching. And obviously, thanks to everyone for watching the show. And from me and Zach here, good night, and we'll see you again next time for another edition of the show. Take care, everyone, and good night.